Understanding the relationships between the various Daedra, their Daedric princes, and the realms they rule is nearly impossible. The varieties of Daedra observable in our world, and the relationships between these kinds, their own kin, and their princes, are extraordinarily numerous. A Daedra may appear in a certain place and time in one form, yet in another place and time in the exact opposite manner, or even in a completely contradictory state elsewhere. Which Daedra serve which prince? Which Daedra give orders which ones serve? And what kind of hierarchy applies under which conditions? Which Daedra are closely aligned, which exist in endless hostility toward one another, which are solitary, which are social, and which shift between the two? There is almost no limit to the range of observable behaviors, and since these vary from place to place, all the terms used to define them inevitably contradict one another and constantly stand as exceptions to each other. So, from whom can we learn the answers to our questions about this order? From mortals who have no knowledge of what they will see in the afterlife. From gods who speak in veiled riddles and prefer to rule over us rather than tell the truth? Or from the Daedra themselves, who are hardly examples of honesty and are far better known for deceit and manipulation? Even if the Daedra were telling the truth, how can we be sure that they themselves truly understand the realities of their own nature or the structure of Daedric society, and whether or under what conditions it changes? In short, what is known is very little, and none of it is reliable. In light of all that has been said, after the fulfillment of the prophecies of the incarnates/humanoids, the destruction of Dagoth Uar, and the promise that the blight would be driven from the island of Vardenfell forever, I should attempt to connect what I heard and observed about the relationships among the servants of Lord Dagon during my brief service to Divaith Fyr, the Telvanni wizard, when I sought him out and offered to lay to rest the bodies of the victims in his sanatorium. Divaith told me that he was in contact with only two Daedra, Mehrunes Dagon and Azura. He said that Azura knows and understands everything, yet refuses to speak of such matters, or speaks only from behind a veil of mystery. Mehrunes Dagon, by contrast, is arrogant, willing to do whatever is necessary to achieve his goals, likely lacking subtlety, knowing and understanding nothing, and inclined to speak freely without regard for right or wrong. Divaith Fyr said that Dagon's chief servants, the Dremora, although similar in arrogance, shared purpose, and lack of subtle thought, also possess qualities such as honor and loyalty toward one another and toward Lord Dagon himself. He also said that the Dremora are divided into clearly separated clans and castes. A Dremora may gain or lose high rank, or transfer to other clans, only through complex oaths and by the will of Lord Dagon. The Dremora refer to themselves as Kyn, the people, distinguishing themselves from other Daedra whom they address as unthinking beasts. The term Kynaz indicates belonging to the Dremora race of the Kyn. The lowest rank of the Kyn is the Churl, the foot soldiers of the Dremora. Although Churls are highly obedient to their superiors, they are extremely cruel toward humans and other Daedra. The next class consists of the Caitiffs, extremely exuberant and highly energetic creatures. Caitiffs have been used among the Daedra as shock troops and frenzied warriors, units that fight in a chaotic, undisciplined, unreliable manner, yet are equally ambitious and eager. The highest tier of the Dremora is the Kinvil, warrior knights, and potential battlefield commanders, easily recognizable in combat. Above the warrior castes of Churl, Caitiff, and Kinvil are the administrative and governing officials. A Kinreeve is a clan chief or appointed officer. Kinreeves typically assume administrative duties involving the control of warrior units or the organization of battle formations. Kinmarchers are high administrative authorities responsible for fortresses, outposts, or gates. A Kinmarcher commands a group of military units and governs a territory under their control. Above the Kinmarchers are the Marcanaz, the exalted leaders. A Marcanaz lord is a member of Mehrunes Dagon's Council of Lords, the Marcan. The highest rank among the Dremora is the Valkinaz, or princehood. These warrior leaders are members of the Valkin, the personal guard of Mehrunes Dagon. Valkinaz are rarely encountered in Tamriel. They're usually either always at Mehrunes Dagon's side or pursuing tasks that are important or of particular interest to him. During my service to Divaith Fyr, and in the course of his studies, the only Daedra species I encountered were Ogrims, Golden Saints, Daedroths, Winged Twilights, Scamps, and Clannfear. There is much that could be said, but I do not know how much of it would be reliable or even useful. What did catch my attention, however, was that when Divaith Fyr wished to summon a Daedra resembling a Dremora, but stronger, more freedom-loving, and seemingly more inclined toward independence, or more skilled than them, he instead summoned a Zivali, a Daedra similar in personality and temperament to the Dremora, yet far more prone to betrayal and disobedience if not treated in exactly the right way. Monstrous Daedra, such as Clannfear and Daedroth, can appear in the service of many Daedra powers and represent much of the fauna that roams freely through the wilds of Oblivion. Semi-sapient creatures like Scamps and Spider Daedra can likewise be found within the realms of various Daedric lords. Even less is known about elemental Atranax, such as Fire and Frost Atranax. Although they are quite intelligent, it is difficult to claim that all elemental Atranax possess social behavior or the ability to communicate. Since Divaith Fyr had no desire to summon such beings, he had little direct experience with them, and because he wished to avoid speculation about their nature, I was able to learn very little about them during my time at Tel Fyr.